you've got going on your background? Some fancy space lights or something? What's that all about?
Yeah, that's a C projector. It's called. It's pretty good stuff. Nate got one as well, and Kasha got one as well.
It looks lovely, mate.
Yeah.
I think.
Thank you.
A very cozy little atmosphere here during the DreamHack SC2 Summer Masters. Love it. In the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the Ukrainian veteran. This man has arguably played more competitive games of StarCraft 2 than anyone else on this planet. It is Bly.
On the right-hand side, playing for Team Liquid, the Prophecy, #1 on a League Leg right now, it is Clem. He good.
The man who is Clem-spiring Terrans around the world.
Hells yeah. Now on this map, Roddy, what Rogue did against Maru in the GSL finals, I really liked it. He took down the rocks in the middle of the map, and that made it so that roaches were super effective. Roaches usually don't thrive unless it's a very wide open space against Terran, because they all want to fire, and Terran tends to clump up the bio a little bit more. So in chokes, Terran can fit in more units, and the roaches don't do well. Tanks do amazing also in non-open spaces. But if you break those rocks, and if Clem takes the triangle base that we've seen a lot of Terran players take on this map in particular, he could be in trouble against something like that.
I want to point out that Clem's SCV took a very funny route. Clem started off scouting his own gold. Is there any other Zerg on this planet where Clem would scout his own gold before he would scout the other side of the map? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, absolutely not.
But now Bly is still doing something very weird. Like, he's making it seem like it's normal. I'm having a smile on my face already, Kat, because of the way that Clem has scouted and what Bly is up to now. So he opens up in a normal manner where he's like, oh, don't worry, it's just a hatch first on my side of the map. Now he's got a drone in the top right side. He's gonna go for a hidden base. So he's gonna make it look like he's doing something weird of 2 bases, a random 2 base all in, but then actually start mining at the top right side. How do you not love this, mate? This is amazing already.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this is Bly in a nutshell. He's always mixing it up. It's good to see him on new maps as well, but that drone actually will go down. Could have morphed into a Spore. Yeah. Not enough time to morph it into a extractor. Sadly, it was just a little bit off of it. And Bly will be taking that ninja base on the top right-hand side. I'm not sure how he's going to look to utilize that, though. It almost, in my mind, it almost has to be an aggressive base. No. But it's not like super close. Yeah, that's the thing.
I think what he's gonna do is just saturate it, mine from it for as long as possible, and I'm sure that he's aware of it, that eventually he's gonna lose it. But if that base is up and running for a couple minutes, and Clem is getting super paranoid about the fact that Bly is staying on 2 bases and is going for some sort of a weird 2 base all in, yeah, there is a chance that he overreacts. I mean, yesterday we saw DNS also overreacting to a weird hatchery from Raynor. It's not always easy to figure out what you're going up against, and like, if we put ourselves in Clem's shoes right now and you see that Bly is staying on 2 bases, don't you expect him to already have a lair and then potentially do either a 2-base Muda opening of a relatively weak economy or some sort of a Nidus play? I wouldn't be thinking about a hidden base.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, because he's playing off of his reputation, I suppose. It is an expensive mind game to play, however, because he's not going to be able to you know, like, reinforce or take drones onto that base very easily, right? So he's gonna only mine with the drones that he can produce from that larva, and he's gonna be behind him making a queen. Oh, look at Bly.
Yeah, starts the lair immediately, probably a little sooner than he wanted to, and he's gonna cancel it. Now, what we could also do, instead of saturating the base in the top right side, we actually saw Scarlet do this in one of the previous seasons. I don't know if it was spring, summer, or winter last year. But Scarlet did this on Pillars of Gold, went for a hidden hatchery and then utilized that hatchery to morph roaches on the other side of the map. So you're right, it is going to be an aggressive hatchery.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more consistent, but at the same time, I would have almost rather seen the gold taken if this was going to be the case, just be a little bit closer. But, you know, this base does provide the high ground, so it's kind of nice from that regard. And these guys are likely to be morphed into Ravagers as Bly has the gas. And certainly, right, like, that base is just going to serve as a staging point for roaches, which are otherwise a little bit slower to move across the map. So we'll see if he finds something.
I'll be real, I was excited, but since Clem is not doing what we normally see Terran players do, and that is open up with a couple of Hellions and then maybe get a Raven out or some Banshees. Instead, it's just a buttload of Marines, and these Marines will already have Stim. There are 2 medevacs above it, and I think at this point, Clem is starting to figure out that something is not quite adding up, and as long as these Marines stay at home, Clem is in phenomenal shape here.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? If he loads up those medevacs, then he might be in trouble. But now he sees a stream of Ling reinforcement, so this might be enough for Clem to kind of know that something's up. He scans the Roach Warren now, which is great news for him. Scanning the main or the natural as well, rather than the main, knowing that Bly is likely to be sneaky. And now Bly is pushing up a ramp, but there's already a tank well tucked in. Those Ravagers would really struggle to get to it, and things are looking very, very good for Clem.
Yep, Bly does have a ridiculous amount of Zerglings, and if the Zerglings can break in, and if the Zerglings can surround, is this a place for miracles? I mean, it's a lot of firepower in these Marines, and even though the tank does fall, now a bunker has finished up and plenty of Marines are still alive. It looked promising for a split second there, but too much firepower on the side of Claymore.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, Clem really didn't need to move out with those Marines as far as he did, but it was just about. I mean, it was perfect in the end, right? Like, it was exactly what he needed, and that's kind of the best case scenario when you barely hold. I mean, a few more Lings maybe, or those Roaches, or maybe a Bile onto a couple of Marines or something like that might have been enough. He does get us around, but unlucky for Bly. Clem just has a little bit too much, and there's not enough surface area to surround all those Marines completely, or to get all the damage of the Zerglings output as well as he could have. So now he's going to be flying over the rest of the Zerglings, Clem that is, and Bly now chasing this medevac, but that's the last thing he wanted to be doing right now.
I mean, Clem is truly playing the player here. I don't think he would go for this opening in this build against anyone else other than Bly, but he just kind of knows that it's very likely Bly's going to do something weird. Bly's going to attack him, in a way, all in him. So he said, I'm not going to open up triple CC. I'm not going to open up with Hellions and find myself in a scenario where I barely have any battle units. No, what I'm going to do is try to get as many Marines out as quickly as possible. And let's see if you attack me. If you don't, I'll just start dropping and I'll start making some magic and I'll crawl my way back into the game. But if you do attack me, I have more than enough units to survive. And that is kind of what happened.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Clem being super good about it too, right? Like, he scouts the lair, which is Bly basically morphs the lair right away when Clem's Reaper gets in, so that the Reaper sees a lair and he thinks, oh, I don't know how far along it is. Obviously, we know that it just started, but from Clem's perspective, it could be a nearly done lair. He doesn't really know. So yeah, I think he could have still been aggressive against most players, even from that position, because if it's tech, it's not likely to be an attack this big. But instead, he has basically 2 medevacs worth of units, and he just keeps them back. And that was absolutely the right choice. Keeps scouting, eventually sees those Lings come in, and now actually a little bit out of position with those Marines. Or is it the perfect position yet again?
I think it is the perfect position. I don't think Bly really has anything to keep these Marines in place, right? Like, in a dream world where we have some Infestors, we land a Fungal, then we could be like, oh, is there a possibility? At this point, I'm afraid there really isn't. Bly's army is just vastly inferior to the army of Clem. And all that Clem needs to do is just play this one out safe. He knows he's economically ahead, and he knows that he's working towards the battle army and already has a battle army. Just needs to make sure he doesn't do anything silly like move command, I guess.
Yeah, that's about it. Because, I mean, he waited for 5 tanks before taking his 3rd base. I mean, he couldn't be any safer. And Bly is pulling all the stops, of course, but might as well save tricks at this point in your back for the next game, because he's also going for the burrow. And that's going to activate Clem, and you know, it's going to make him consider burrow, I think, if he uses it for future games. I think this one, you just give up at this point.
Yep, I think most Zerg players would already be out of this game, but we do know that Bly is a fighter and he likes to stay in there as long as he has a tiny chance. And in his defense, once in a blue moon, he is capable of a magical comeback. I just don't think that's going to happen here against Clem on the big stage, too. This is not a random online game.
That Marine. Look at where that Marine is.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Slow bailing connecting with Marines.
Yeah, but now the tank line is here.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a big shelling away at that army. Now Clem feeling confident enough to go and potentially end this as 6 Marines Our section off to take care of the top right-hand side expansion at the same time. And there is really just not much that Bly is going to be able to do here.
1-1 bio and 5 tanks against a couple of roaches, ravages, and banelings without their speed upgrade. Is it okay if I just close my eyes, Cats, and you tell me when it's over?
Yes, Roddy, close your eyes about now, and I'll tell you. Actually, how long do you think it's going to take? I'm going to go with 10 seconds.
I mean, it depends on Bly if he fights or if he's going to run circles.
No, less, yeah.
Well, your guess was quite spot on. GG, Clem wins game 1, where he clearly had a strategy that he felt was the right strategy to use against Bly, and he wasn't wrong. I would have liked to see Bly just maybe try to get a hidden base up and running, like scare Clem, make it seem like he's 2-base all laying, but then instead mine up a hidden base for a while. I don't know. I don't think it's reliable. I don't think it's good. But let's be real. Bly is a really good player, but I think ZVT is one of his weaker matchups, while Clem is arguably the best TVZ player in the world. So we got to start getting a little creative there, Cats.
Yeah, lucky for Bly. I mean, we have Beckett. Is it Beckett coming up next? Are we going to see Beckett played for... Oh, that's so exciting. And I mean, we were talking a little bit about Beckett and how it's normally a Terran map. And we were also talking about how Clem likes to be proactive and Bly also likes to be proactive. The reason Beckett is good for Terran is because Terran attacks first usually, and the distance is much shorter. But we almost know for certain that Bly is going to attack first. It's just a matter of what he's going to do. And I think, maybe some Roach Arenas again.
Yes, you think hatchery on his side of the map or a hatchery on Clem's side of the map?
I want to see a 1-base Ravager at this point.
12 drones?
I don't know. I don't know. Bly knows best. Do you know it? Does he do 12 drones?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure that he's done it a long time ago when it was popular and Laser started doing it in the famous Game 7 against Innovation during Nation Wars. I'm sure that Bly has tried it a few times, but Bly is very stubborn, right? Even when it comes to cheesy strategies. Like the things that he likes to do, those are really good. But then some of the other cheeses that he doesn't do, he's like, no, it's not a good build. So I don't know.
And once upon a time, I would have had a very strong opinion on how many drones to stop at, but I think that 1-base Ravager could be the play here. It's such a short map. If you make a hatchery on the other side of the map, you're kind of not playing the map as well as you could in a weird way, right? Because you're cutting the distance, and you can do that on any map. But yeah, we'll see what Bly has in store. He definitely has something in store. And Clem, I mean, every Cirque player is going to veto this map. So while it is a Terran map, does he have much experience on it? We're about to find out in the top right-hand side. For Team Liquid, it is the Prophecy. It is Clem.
And in the bottom left side of Beckett Industries, we're looking at the main base of our veteran Ukrainian Zerg player. It is Bly.
Already up to 15 workers. 16. This is where we normally would see money start to bank up for an expansion.
Yeah, there is already a drone on the other side of the map. He's going to go for the proxy hatch. And I was kind of expecting this because if you build your hatchery here, there's obviously no ramp you have to go up to the natural, right? So that is one little thing that works in your advantage.
Yeah, most definitely. So we could see something like links reinforcing from the main and roaches being made from this hatchery, or we could see some weird just queen opening to try and deny the natural from Clem. That could also be kind of cute. The first cast just now going up for Bly though, so unlikely that we're gonna see a heavy committal into Ravagers, for instance.
Clem is SCV scouting. This time he's not taking a weird route with his SCV because this map is so small. He just wants to get to the other side of the map immediately. He will see that Bly is not taking in his natural yet. Now he gets into the main base. We'll see the spawning pool and he will see that there is already a gas up and running. I think at this point Clem will never, ever, ever build a command center on the low ground because that would just be very stubborn.
But that is almost what Bly might want at this point, right? Because I think he can get a chance to deny the natural and contain Clem, and that could be the way that he wants to play this game out. So whereas if the command center is on the low ground, I mean, Bly doesn't really have that much aggressive potential, I don't think.
Well, I think you might be onto something. I've seen Bly play a couple of very high-level CVTs where he makes it seem like it's all-out aggression, but then at the same time he's squeezing out a few drones, then it's more units, it's creep indeed covering the entire natural, but then slowly but steady he turns it into a normal game, where he's just way ahead because he's been mining up multiple mineral lines, while the Terran player has been stuck. Even if they have triple CC, you don't really want to have triple CC on one base, because then you're going to mine out your main base in like 5 minutes, which is great and all, but then you have no income anymore.
Exactly, and we see Bly made those 2 circlings in order to potentially delay the command center on the low ground, but nothing since, and he is getting link speed, and then I don't think he's he's actually got a second gas, but he's not really mining it at this point. So we'll see. He's also starting to mine from that natural base. A Cyclone being made from Clem, which is an anticipation of roaches, so another move that should favor Bly.
Absolutely. No, I think you were right the first time when you're like, I think he's just gonna try to stall or drag this go, or make this go on for as long as possible, prevent Clem from taking his natural, and then indeed slowly but steady squeeze out a few drones and turn it into a macro game where obviously the timings are very, very different. But it will all come down to the first part of the game. Can Bly prevent Clem from getting this expand up and running?
Well, not if he doesn't have a unit there. I mean, the creep's almost there, but Clem, I think, identified now what Bly wants to do, and he's very rushed to that low ground. Does he have enough to defend? Bly will reveal also his link speed, and he does have a decent number of links with 12 more on the way. If he can get here before the bunker is done, he can still do this. He can still deny the space.
29 drones against 28 SCVs at this point, but now the first Hellions are out, and this is where things become a little more complicated, because once the Hellion count goes up, it's going to be harder and harder for Bly to run in there and get on top of the Marines, get on top of the Cyclone. Clem is going in quite deep. I mean, he will get both queens. That's awesome, but there are more and more Zerglings popping, and this has to be Bly's moment to at least try to win a fight.
Yeah, here come the rest of the Zerglings, and it's not a good position from Clem, who will get surrounded here, and all of these links will clear this out. Lucky for Clem, he at least did establish that bunker, but Bly has lost a lot of drones on this side of the map. The bunker is not loaded, and there's only 1 Marine out, but it will not get surrounded. Unfortunately for Bly, that could have actually been huge. The creep was almost there. If that creep was a little bit further along, this would have looked like a completely different game there.
If the Zerglings get the surround there on the Hellions, this becomes a nightmare for Clem, right? Because then he's going to lose the bunker. He's going to lose the SCVs. He's going to be forced to lift his orbital, but the Hellions sneaking out there, and now all 3 Hellions are still alive. And this means this is going to get harder and harder for Bly to really do something about this base.
Yeah, the next creep tumor gets denied as well. And yeah, I mean, this is a wasted investment at this point from Bly. It was a lot closer than it might seem, and a lesser turn would have been a little bit more cautious, but Clem, knowing exactly how much he has and that he has to take that natural base when he takes it.
There are a bunch of Hellions running to the other side of the map. Clem is going to try to defend at home with his bunker and his Banshee. The bunker is going to fall. Clem will lose SCVs here, but I don't think that's going to be as bad as the amount of drones that Bly is going to lose on the other side of the map, because there are 6 Hellions driving into the main base of the Zerg. A crap ton of drones here, completely exposed. Not a single unit to keep these drones safe, and then all of a sudden the damage that Bly is dealing on the other side of the map doesn't seem very impactful.
Yeah, I mean, there is 2 Banshees, so those units are on a timer, I guess. And yeah, it looks like it's pretty over from this point on. I mean, Bly trying to do whatever he can, but he has lost 15 workers. Clem has lost 19, so, you know, if you like the maths, you might be like, oh, that's not too bad. But, you know, Mules, Terran, the fact that Bly has a hatchery invested on the other side, Spores are here. But unfortunately, no units to back them up, and these Hellions are going to pull back. Likely be able to clear this 1 drone. They would clear more if there was more. So look at that from Clem too, right? Like, goes through that route, make sure that there's no more drones, and then it's gonna pull back and end it.
And that is going to do it. GG. Clem will take the 2